What's up, guys? I'm Lawyer Wynton alongside Peter Speroni. We are the Web3 attorneys today. We're going to be talking about an F1 game, NFT game that has been in operations for 3 years that is now shutting down because they couldn't renew the intellectual property rights. They expired. Now they got to shut it down. What are they going to do for all these people that spent all this money and time invested in their NFT game? Peter, obviously we know the significance of this. The IP expired. You can't do anything with the expired IP. But like 30,000 foot view, before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, why is this so significant?
Well, because it was bound to happen, number one. But even before that, it's because IP reigns king in the metaverse. If you are selling a non-fungible token that displays a copyright, a trademark, somebody else's proprietary information, and you're selling it representing that you get to actually display all of that within the metaverse, use the car, race it, whatever you want to do. And then that IP licensor that gave you permission to do that when you bought it, then just pulls the license 3 years later, and you find out that you can't even drive your car anymore. You can't display any of it anymore. It's just over. From an investment standpoint, that sounds like exactly what the SEC is looking into right now, is that kind of action. Because you're selling something that really doesn't exist. And was there a lot of transparency? And I doubt there was transparency here. Maybe there was, to the individual NFT buyers, that this was only going to be worth anything for 3 years. It's exactly what's going to continue to happen to other NFT projects, unfortunately.
So Rev Motorsports had made this announcement a couple of days ago, March 15th, 2022, and this is their post from their blog, and the first paragraph reads as such, and I am excited about your reaction to this, Peter. It says, quote, "It is with deep regret that we announce that F1 Delta Time will cease operations on March 16th, 2022. Whilst we have not been able to renew our license, we will ensure that current owners of F1 Delta Time assets are rewarded for their time and loyalty. We are taking measures to offer players and asset holders ways in which they can participate in the wider Rev Motorsports ecosystem, which includes MotoGP, Ignition, and blah, 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 blah. A bunch of other stuff."
Complete and utter BS. And also, then I would say to them, you have zero clue what a non-fungible token is. It is non-fungible, meaning if you screw up and the IP license expires, the fungibility of it all, the non-fungibility of it all, means that you just don't get another replacement for it. That's the entire point of an NFT. So by handing you another NFT for a new car in another type of game, that is literally defeating the entire purpose of what an NFT is in the first place. This entire mission got this wrong, in my opinion. Just completely off the jump, got it wrong because they didn't ask the right questions about what people were buying and about what kinds of rights would be extended to those buyers and for how long. We see in IP licenses all the time, term limits, windows, how long can you display it and use it? And that wasn't seemingly disclosed to the investors in this particular situation. That's such a problem. I mean, it's a shame. It doesn't have to be that way.
And just because you sign an agreement with somebody to license out some IP doesn't mean that they're going to renew that license.
Right. So you went and bought it, and let's say you're trading it or whatever, you went and bought it, and then they pull the license and it's worthless. Now, we did see these F1 cars, Formula One, decrease recently, but we've also seen NFTs generally decrease recently with everything going on in the world and everything else. We've seen sort of the bubble start to burst. So I wouldn't blame that on them individually.
Which you have been calling for a while. You've been saying the bubble's going to burst.
Yeah, and this is how the bubble bursts, is because nobody knew what the bubble was. They just got in the game. They let a lot of people buy a lot of things from them. And turns out that what people bought and used had a lot of liens on it, a lot of limitations. And it's a question of whether or not those liens and limitations were actually disclosed to the individual people that were buying it. I don't know. This would probably have been done in some sort of a smart contract, but we don't know. But to just say, oh, yeah, don't worry about that car. We're going to give you, or don't worry about that. We're going to give you another NFT, non-fungible token, even though your first one was clearly fungible. And we're going to give it to you in a different kind of game. And we're good, right? Thank you for your loyalty. I think that is the biggest BS statement and will ruin their credibility in this space. They did this wrong.
That was going to be the next thing I was going to bring up, is the fact that this is what that if you go and read any of the articles, the one that I'm currently looking at right now is Decrypt. They're great. They cover a lot of great stories in the space. Is that's part of the deal, is that they are going to replace asset holders NFTs with another NFT,
Right,
in another game,
mm-hmm.
within their ecosystem.
Yeah.
Why would I trust that at all?
Why would you ever? Why? Yeah, right. I mean, you're being gifted it, I suppose, but do you not have any kind of damages here? I mean, is if that wasn't fully disclosed and transparent to you? I don't know. These are the types of questions that the courts are going to be working out. With this, we haven't seen much of this detailed, nuanced stuff right now in legal action. We will. I mean, this kind of situation is unfortunate because blockchain, Web3, it's the future. It's the technological revolution. We're going there. We're there. We're headed there.
We're in it.
And unfortunately, it's riddled with rug pulls, with misunderstandings, with people believing that they actually have rights that they don't. And then they're stamping something on that and selling it to people. There's something that is just fundamentally ethically wrong about that. And this project will fall. And you're right. I get a new NFT. Yeah. So what? Am I using the game again? Do I want to invest any more time with this company? Me personally, absolutely not. That's a deal breaker. I'm like, I can't trust you. You can pull this from me at any point in time. Why would I buy it from you?
And they're spending a lot of money. So in March 2021, I always say this wrong because just name your company something that people can pronounce. Animoca sold a 70th anniversary edition car NFT for $265,000 worth of Rev tokens within their Rev ecosystem, and sold $1.8 million worth of in-game track segments for F1 Delta Time, the game that just went offline.
Right.
People are spending millions of dollars in this space.
Easy, yeah.
And F1 was one of the first sports industries to adopt NFT and NFT gaming. And now that one of the first is now having this type of issue, it's definitely going to give some other industries pause when going into the space, as it should. I mean, you mentioned earlier that the interest in NFTs is kind of waning a little bit recently. It'll come back, but it's waning, I think, as you said, for several global issues. There's a lot going on, but I think it's also because people are starting to listen to us, the Web3 attorneys, when we say take a step back, learn a little bit, at least a little bit about intellectual property, learn how copyright works, just a little bit. So you don't get yourself caught up. It's really easy to get yourself caught up, and a lot of people are getting caught up.
Yeah, these are the discussions that the board of directors for these companies should be having. And the IP holders that pulled the license, I say good on them. That is their right. If they in IP, we're talking about bundles of sticks, and each of those sticks represents a certain kind of right that you may have with that. So if you only gave away 3 of the 6 sticks for 3 years, that's your right as an IP holder. You can do that. You can 100% do that. And the reason why you would do that, why it'd be advantageous for you to do that, is because it's a risk to license out your IP to an entity, especially if that entity doesn't have the capacity to actually generate a lot of money and a lot of success and a lot of branding for your IP. So you put in a window of 3 years and say you can do this for 3 years, but if after 3 years sales are down or we want to do this, we can pull back our IP and we could go to a different metaverse with the same kind of idea. I say to those IP holders, good on you. I mean, that's you're protecting your art, you're protecting your creation, you're protecting your intellectual property, and we're all for that. But the companies that they're contracting with have to have that kind of disclosure to the people that are playing these games, buying these things, buying these NFTs. There's got to be transparency in this industry, and there's not right now. Enter the Web3 attorneys. You need to start asking questions
Big
right now,
questions.
as opposed to saying this is how it goes. You have to start asking questions if you're going to jump in the space, especially if your NFT displays somebody else's intellectual property.
100%. And while
Yeah.
the space is unregulated and unlitigated and everything at the moment, it's coming. Litigation is coming down the pipeline. It's coming. And this is just kind of a foreshadowing event of how it's coming down the pipeline, because a lot of money got spent, and they're saying, yeah, they put out their little blog saying, we regret to inform, but we regret to inform you guys right back. Litigation is, it's not, I haven't seen anything about anything being litigated in this space as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's coming.
Well, and I will say too, to that statement, that those words, we regret to inform, means that they were not transparent with the buyers in the beginning. I don't know why they would put out that statement. We regret to inform you now, after you've spent the money, that whatever you bought is worthless. We're taking it back. Thank you. Like, we regret to inform you that. Did you regret to inform them when they bought it? Because that's what you should put out. We regret we weren't transparent when you bought this from us. It's just a funny statement. Like, it boggles my mind how this space is evolving.
We're gonna keep up with this story, but let us know what you guys think about what's going on with this F1 game shutting down and giving out new NFTs for the old NFTs and all that stuff. But
Giving out fungible tokens.
all right, we're the Web3 attorneys. I'm lawyer Wynton. That's Peter Speroni. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. We'll see you next time.